Our brains categorize the experiences that we have as dangerous or safe so that you can avoid dangerous situations in the future. And something will be considered dangerous if you disconnect from yourself, from your body, from your intuition, dissociate, don't allow yourself to feel your feelings fully, and disconnect from your authentic self. Or if an event is perceived as a threat to your survival needs, so food, shelter, love. If any of those things end up being affected by an event, then it's going to be categorized as dangerous. And so the number one priority when you're going through a breakup should be taking really good care of yourself and eating enough food and making sure that all of your needs are met. I know that sometimes it can be hard when you're really anxious or depressed to eat enough, but you really just have to force yourself to eat at least a reasonable amount and do your best to get sleep when you can. And just take really good care of yourself so that this event is not registering as a threat to your survival. Because sometimes we think that losing someone or grief is a threat to our survival because of what we've learned in the past. And so you'll have these really extreme fears and anxieties coming up, and you might literally feel like you're gonna die. And that's because you have old associations with these feelings of grief and loss. And by allowing yourself to be present with your emotions and to make sure that all of your needs are being met by yourself, not only are you ensuring that this event is not going to traumatize you in the future so that you're not afraid of love in the future or heartbreak in the future, but also you can heal the old associations that you have with grief and heartbreak and loss, and all of the trauma that you have from those things in the past. You can heal it through the current events that you're going through and the current negative experiences that you have when you're able to handle them in a different way and fully experience the negative emotions and be there for yourself and make sure that all of your needs are met. We have a need for love and connection, but this is something that you can meet for yourself. And you do this by validating all parts of yourself and accepting all parts of yourself as they come up. Every single thought, emotion, experience that you have, understand that it is valid and validate yourself and accept it, and don't judge yourself for it. Don't label it as a negative thing. Any emotion that you have, it's based on what you've learned in the past. We're all doing the best that we can with whatever we know, and everything that you feel is valid, and there's a reason that you feel that way based on your past experiences and based on what you're going through right now. So when you're having different emotions come up, just be present with them, allow yourself to experience them, and try not to want to resist where you're at and want to change it and want to be somewhere else. This doesn't mean that you should act on your feelings of insecurity or fear or self-doubt, but just give space for these things to exist and don't judge them. When we're quitting an addiction or grieving someone that we love, there's a part of you that relied on that thing or that person for comfort, safety, love, or validation. And so whatever it is that you relied on them for, you have to give it to yourself. So when you're having cravings for that person or that thing, ask yourself, what is it that I need in this moment? What is it that I want from them? And find a way to give it to yourself. If it's comfort, allow yourself to relax, watch TV, do something that makes you feel good, something that makes you feel comforted and pleasure. Maybe eat a nice, nourishing meal. If you're craving love and validation, make sure that you're accepting all of the parts of yourself that come up and accepting all of your emotions and feelings and speaking kindly to yourself and thinking highly of yourself. And try to find ways to give that to yourself. I realized that I forgot to talk about how to meet your own need for safety and create a feeling of safety within your body. And if you want to learn more about that, I would watch my video about being an empath, because that video is just all about how to feel safe in order to not pick up on the emotions of everyone around you. But I think the most important thing you can do is actually just allowing yourself to acknowledge and feel your emotions, because that helps you build trust with yourself and your body and feel safe handling any situation when you know that you can face whatever emotions come with any situation. This is something that I really struggled with my entire life, and once I learned how to properly feel my emotions and really started practicing that, it has been the most life-changing thing I've ever done and just changed my life in the most beautiful way. If you feel like you could use some help being present with your emotions and coping with your emotions in a healthy way, I made a workbook that you can get on Amazon, or it's $5 for the ebook on my website. And it has different ways to release and transmute emotions, cognitive distortions that you might be having, and then more in-depth ways on how to transmute each emotion. And also just some information on healing and emotions and then a bunch of prompts to help you be present with your emotions and to work through the things that you're going through. Whatever it is that you relied on them for, you really have to give it to yourself, and not only to your present self, but also to your past self, because all of those versions of you still exist within you, and they are still dependent on that thing for comfort and security and validation. And so something that has been really healing for me is doing like inner child meditations, but not even with the child versions of myself, just with past versions of myself. I'll link below one of the ones that I do a lot. You have to help the past versions of yourself feel loved and safe and validated and comfortable so that they can let go of that thing as well, because those versions of you are still within you. I also like to just connect to the past versions of myself throughout my day and kind of just hold them in my mind and be like, look at this beautiful apartment that we're living in now. You have so much freedom. You're completely safe. You're so at peace. You're not surrounded by any toxic people. And that just feels so healing when you connect with the old versions of you and you show them where you're at now and you let them know that everything is going to be okay and comfort them and give them the love and the security and the things that they never had in that moment. I think we also connect to our past selves when we listen to music. And if you found comfort and happiness from a song when you were in a really dark place, I think it's because a future version of you was listening to that song and feeling better. When we listen to music, we connect to all the versions of ourselves that have ever listened to that song. And so just by listening to music that you like, you can connect to all these different versions of yourself, especially if you're listening to music that you used to like as a kid or whatever version of you you're trying to connect to. You can always communicate with your past selves, and it feels really, really good when you do because it heals a part of you. So make sure that you're not only giving your current self everything that you need, but give it to those past versions of yourself that are still having a hard time letting go and that are coming up, because they're always going to be somewhere within you, and so you have to heal those parts of you as well. But don't stress out about it. Like, it can just be a really natural process where when you feel like connecting to them, you do. Like, you can literally just spend like 10 minutes a day connecting to your old selves for like a week, and you'll probably feel a million times better by the end of it. Our love languages are also a reflection of the things that we need, that we struggle to give to ourselves. If your love language is words of affirmation, what is your self-talk like? Do you speak kindly to yourself? Do you validate yourself and love yourself? Do you say nice things to yourself? Do you think nice things about yourself? And if not, how can you get better at those things? If your love language is acts of service, do you take good care of yourself, and do you trust yourself to take care of yourself and to have the energy to do everything that you need? Or maybe you're spending so much time doing acts of service for other people instead of yourself. If your love language is gifts, do you buy nice things for yourself and give yourself nice things? And do you feel comfortable receiving? Do you feel deserving of receiving? Or do you not trust yourself to be able to provide for yourself and have this fear or scarcity mindset around money and possessions? If your love language is quality time, make sure that you're taking time to be with yourself and get to know yourself and do the things that bring you joy and allow yourself to relax and recharge. And if your love language is physical touch, do you feel confident in your body? Do you feel proud of your body? Do you love your body? Do you take good care of your body and move it and feed it healthy foods? Or do you have insecurity around your potential to reproduce? Because I feel like that is a survival need that we all have. It's something that people struggle with. I think especially men struggle with that a lot, because I feel like women generally know that they're desirable and can reproduce if they wanted to. So if that's your love language, that's probably something that you need to work on and a belief system that you need to work on. The people that we love are really a reflection of us and a reflection of who you are at that current time. If someone mistreats you, that's how you treat yourself, because if you didn't treat yourself that way, you would walk away, right? When someone mistreats you, it's the universe showing you, hey, this is where you're at, this is who you are right now, and you have the choice to walk away and to become a new version of you and to stop putting up with that type of behavior and stop treating yourself that way. And so everyone is really just a reflection of us, and everything that that person criticized about you or wanted you to change are things that you're insecure about within yourself, that you don't accept about yourself and that you want to change about yourself. And so in order to heal from the breakup, look at that person, but understand that they are just a reflection of you, and the way they treat you, the things they think about you, are all just a reflection of you, and use it as an opportunity to heal yourself and heal your relationship with yourself. So whatever they judged about you, whatever they didn't accept about you, whether it was real or just the way that you perceived it, learn to accept those parts of yourself. It's not that you have to change them, it's that you just need to accept them and accept that that is a part of you, and it's okay that you're that way. And again, we don't have to act on the negative feelings that we have or the negative parts of ourselves, but just accept them and love them and validate them, and don't criticize yourself and don't be mean to yourself because they exist, because you're just a human. We're all flawed, we're all learning. It's just a part of the human experience. Also, the things that you dislike about the person, the things that you want to change about them, are also a reflection of you. My ex was a perfectionist. He was very hardworking. I think he didn't really allow himself to relax, and those were things that I kind of wanted to change about him. But the reality is I was exactly the same way. It was just a reflection of me. And so those are things that I started working on within myself, and allowing myself to relax and not feeling like I need to work hard in order to be provided for, not feeling like I need to work hard to be worthy, and no longer trying to fix myself and make everything perfect and think that I need to change things, but instead accepting and loving myself as I am. And so the way to heal is to stop pointing the finger outside of you at the world around you, and realize that the world is just trying to show you who you are and who you have the potential to be. The people from your past are all different versions of you. And so this is why forgiveness is so important, because if you are hating someone and mad at them, you're mad at a version of you who tolerated that behavior and who was the reflection of that person. You attracted that energy into your life, and you allowed yourself to be treated that way. And if you can't forgive someone for treating you like that, then you're not forgiving yourself for being treated like that. Once you're able to turn all of your pain into lessons, into healing, it's a lot easier to forgive people, because everything turns into something really positive and beautiful. And so unconditional love is really the key to healing and being able to find love and understanding for everyone. Even if someone is a narcissist and you can't understand the lack of empathy, they're still a reflection of you, because you were deeply insecure, and narcissists are also deeply insecure, and they just have a different way of coping with it. They learn to turn off their emotions and turn off their empathy in order to survive, whereas you probably learn to be overly empathetic. But both of these are just human instincts and ways that we try to survive. And maybe you would never treat someone the way that they treated you, but you actually treated yourself that way by allowing yourself to be treated that way. And so can you find empathy and forgiveness for yourself for allowing yourself to be treated that way? And can you find empathy and forgiveness for that person? Because it's really the same thing. But also, if you feel really angry at that person, allow yourself to fully feel that anger and sit in that anger, and don't try to turn it into love or anything else. Don't try to justify it. Just allow yourself to fully feel it, because that's how we release emotions and are able to later transmute them into things like love. You have to allow yourself to fully experience each emotion and just go with the flow of life and whatever is coming up for you, and accept wherever you're at, accept whatever you're feeling. Every feeling passes, but don't try to change whatever you're feeling in the moment. Allow yourself to actually feel it, because it's naturally gonna pass, and that way it actually gets out of your body instead of staying stuck and negatively affecting you and your health. I had phases where I just fully felt anger and nothing else, and after that, I was able to return to this place of love and forgiveness and acceptance, but I had to fully feel the anger first. But everything that you loved about that person is within you. It's just the universe reflecting you back to you. All the positive emotions that you feel, the oxytocin, the dopamine, are things that literally come from your brain, from your body, that your brain releases, that you can always tap into. It was never something outside of you creating it. It was actually being created inside of you. You can practice generating these emotions, and then you become addicted to yourself, and you're not dependent on anything outside of yourself. When we depend on things outside of us for our happiness, then your happiness is gonna waver with the things outside of you and with your external reality. But when you can learn to generate love and happiness within yourself and not needing anything outside of you, then that's something that can never be taken away from you. And the reality is, you've been generating these emotions all along. It's always been you creating these things, but you're just attributing them to things outside of you. If you need to lean on people and go to people for support and help, that's totally fine. But I actually stopped going to people when I was going through negative experiences, and I learned to emotionally regulate myself and just fully experience it and be there for myself. And you really don't have to do anything. All you have to do is allow yourself to feel it. And that's teaching your body that it's safe for you to feel things, and then you're gonna return back to a state of feeling okay. And so you're gonna learn that all of these experiences are safe for you to have, and then your fears and anxieties and trauma responses will go away because you can handle pain, you can handle negative experiences, you can fully feel them and still be okay. So what is there to fear anymore? And so if you can learn to actually emotionally regulate yourself and just be there for yourself through things, you become so powerful because you don't depend on anyone outside of you ever. Independence can be toxic if you're doing it from a place of like fear and unworthiness and feeling like you don't want to be a burden to others and feeling like you're not deserving of other people's love and support. But it's not toxic to just choose to be independent and to be completely content and fulfilled within yourself, not from a place of fear. But when you learn to emotionally regulate yourself and to become your own source of love and happiness, you become so powerful because you don't need anything from anyone else, and people can sense that, people can feel that energy that you're completely whole within yourself. And you can go into social interactions not needing anything out of it, not needing validation, but instead just wanting to experience people for who they are and just showing up as your authentic self and enjoying life. And that's just such a powerful and beautiful thing. If you could love someone so much who was mistreating you and you could forgive them and accept them back anyway, that just shows how beautiful of a person you are, how big your capacity to love is. And there's no reason that you can't give all of that love and forgiveness to yourself. When I look back at situations where I allowed people to mistreat me and I still forgave them and I still loved them anyway and could understand where they're coming from and have empathy for another human, I now allow that to turn into self-love because I'm like, wow, I'm such a nice, forgiving person. And so you can turn all of that love and that forgiveness back into yourself and realize that I've always had the capacity to love unconditionally and to be so forgiving, but I just wasn't giving it to myself. I was just giving it to everyone else. The ego will come up stronger when it's dying, and these past selves are gonna come up stronger when they're dying. And so you might have a lot of anger coming up, a lot of fear coming up, a lot of insecurity and self-doubt coming up. And just make sure that you're allowing yourself to fully feel these things and accept them and don't judge them, because they are coming up to be released for good. And sometimes they come up a lot so that we can really look at them and evaluate them and understand ourselves and know how to change our belief systems and just set that intention to change them. But just remember that all feelings pass. And I know sometimes it feels like however you feel in the moment is how you're gonna feel forever, because in that moment, that is all that exists. We only ever live in the present. But everything passes, everything changes. Your perception is constantly changing. It's gonna shift so much. Try to just honor wherever you're at and trust that it's gonna turn around. When you allow yourself to be fully present and experience whatever it is that you're going through in each moment and to take really good care of yourself, your breakup is not only gonna not traumatize you, but it's going to heal all of your past trauma and all of the negative associations you have with things from the past.